Want to know why your manifestations are being delayed? Well, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're trying to manifest from your analytical mind. And I discovered this after years of spiritual bypassing and toxic positivity. It left me broke and frustrated. But when I combined Dr. Joe's neurological approach with Neville Goddard's identity work, I manifested $30,000 in just 30 days. Now, this wasn't random. It was because I finally understood the frequency mechanics that 98% of people, well, other manifestation teachers, completely miss. And so today I'm going to show you exactly the exact hybrid method that collapses time between you and your desired reality. But before we start, if you want to go deeper with this work, I've created a free training that expands on everything I'm going to be sharing today. Link is in the description below. But first, I want to ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the people most obsessed with being high vibe are actually the most afraid of their own emotions? Yeah, that's it. And that might have triggered you because, buckle up, I'm about to shatter everything you think you know about manifestation. The reason being is because I used to be that guy too. 3 years ago, I was in manifestation hell. I read all the books, watched all the YouTube videos, tried every technique, scripting, vision boards, you name it. I was also meditating for hours, affirming until my throat was sore, mentally rehearsing so hard I practically gave myself a migraine. But yet, my bank account reminded me that nothing was working. It remained empty. My business was struggling. My business partner turned out to be a narcissist who basically embezzled money from me and left me in 6 figures worth of debt. And the worst part is I was doing everything right according to the manifestation gurus. You know what they told me? You're not believing hard enough. Your vibration isn't high enough. You need to sage your wallet. I'm not even joking about that one. Now, I had studied both Neville Goddard and Joe Dispenza extensively. They are both brilliant teachers with powerful methods. But I noticed something interesting. Neville's approach is all about feeling is the secret, living in the end state, powerful stuff. But without understanding the neurological mechanics, most people just end up pretending. Now, Joe Dispenza, his approach is all about changing your brain state and creating new neural pathways, also powerful. But without the identity component that Neville teaches, then people often create a temporary state without permanent transformation. And so what I realized was that using either method alone was like trying to clap with one hand, right? It makes a lot of movement, but no sound. But what about when you combine them? That is when the magic happens. And so Dr. Joe, he talks about mental rehearsal, right? Rehearsing an experience so complete that your brain and body believe it's real or can't tell the difference between what's real and what is imagined. But here's where most people get it wrong. And I used to do this as well, okay? They visualize from the perspective of watching themselves have the experience. It's like they are watching a movie of themselves succeeding. And that's exactly why it doesn't work. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between watching something and experiencing something. When you watch a horror movie, you get scared, but you don't run out of the theater, right? You don't think an actual killer is after you. You know what I'm talking about? So what do? I modified Joe's technique. Instead of myself visualizing counting $30,000 or seeing it in my bank account, I did something completely different. Neville's core teaching is that feeling is a secret. Not emotion, but the feeling of knowing something is done. The feeling of naturalness, ease. Think about it. When you have something, do you hope for it? Do you affirm it? No. You simply know you have it. So there's a feeling of completion of, yeah, it's done, it is mine. But here's where most people mess up with Neville's teachings. They try to force the feeling. They try to manufacture it, and that creates resistance. It's like trying to force yourself to fall asleep, right? Have you ever tried to do that? The harder you try to force yourself to sleep, the more awake you become. So let me share the exact morning routine that I developed that combined both approaches and led me to manifesting $30,000 in 30 days. So there's 3 steps to this. Step 1 is getting to the 0 point consciousness. Okay? Before even getting out of bed, I would enter what I call the 0 point consciousness. And this is where you exist outside of time completely. No thoughts, just awareness. For me specifically, I want you to replicate what you do before you fall asleep. Okay? For me specifically, I put my awareness in the space behind my eyes. Okay, so that's what I do before I go to sleep. Because for me, that immediately shifts my brainwave from beta, the analytical thinking mind, to alpha and theta, receptive, creative, calm, relaxed. Okay, placing my awareness behind my eyes. I don't know what you do before you sleep, but mimic that. That is how you get to the 0 point consciousness. Step 2, Dr. Joe's formula. You're going to become no body, no one, no thing, no where in no time. That is not just a nice spiritual concept, but it's about getting beyond your analytical mind where all the programs run. It's about getting beyond the self. Okay, that's step 2. Step 3 is the creation formula. Now, let's combine Dr. Joe's elements of a clear intention and an elevated emotion. Because your intention is electrical, it sends the signal out into the quantum field, and your emotion is magnetic and it draws the experience back to you. Simple as that. But here's the key. You can't feel the emotions of your past while trying to create your future. So that means you can't feel unworthy while trying to create abundance. You can't feel lonely while trying to create a relationship. You can't feel anxious and doubt when you're trying to create a new future for yourself. Because the quantum field responds to who you are being, not what you are wanting. Okay? And during the second week of this practice, I experienced what I call emotional purging. There were some old emotions that were coming to the surface. Emotions that I thought I took care of already, like doubt, fear, anxiety, unworthiness. Most spiritual teachers don't talk about this. They don't talk about this part. They make it seem like you just have to think positive thoughts and everything magically works out. But that is not how reality works. When you start shifting your frequency, your old frequency fights back. It's like a detox. Before you get better, all the toxins have to come out. Oh man, I remember I had days where I felt like I was going crazy. I heard 2 voices in my head, my old frequency and my new one. Now don't report me to the psychiatric ward, but this is actually normal. You're not losing your mind. You're losing your old frequency. Okay, that's what happened in week 2. The 3rd week, that's when everything changed. After all this emotional purging of week 2, I reached what I call the surrender point, where I stopped trying to manifest, stopped checking for results. I stopped wondering when or how the money would come. Instead, I simply lived as if it was already done. Not as a technique to get something, but as a recognition of what already was. And that's when the strangest things started happening. I was in the shower. I remember this clearly. I was in the shower. And that's where all good ideas come from. Maybe because we're in a relaxed state and we are more receptive. But I suddenly had this idea for a new offer in my business. And it wasn't something that I had consciously been thinking about. It just appeared, fully formed, like it had been downloaded like directly into my being. So I got out of the shower, quickly got my phone, and I needed to record what was downloaded. I created the offer the same day, sent it out to my email list. Now, here's the crazy part. Within 48 hours, I had $18,000 in sales. By the end of the week, it was a total of $30,589, something like that. The crazy part was, I didn't do anything different in terms of marketing or strategy. Same email list, same offer structure. The only thing that changed was me, my frequency, my identity. Now there's something else I want to warn you that nobody in the YouTube space talks about. And I call it the frequency war. The frequency war is what happens when you shift, or when you're shifting between your old frequency and your new one. It's like being in between radio stations, right? There's static. There's that shh in between. And most people hit this wall and think, oh my God, this isn't working. I need to try something else. And then they go back to their old frequency. But that static isn't failure. It's a breakthrough. It's your new frequency breaking through. It's like when you're at the gym, working out. You know, that burn in your muscles, that burn that you feel, that slight pain. That doesn't mean your muscles are failing. That is your muscles growing. But imagine if you stopped every time you started to feel that burn. And so for months, I had been trying to create a new program. Literally, I had outlines, content plans, marketing strategies, but something always felt off. I was trying to force it from my analytical mind. I was trying to think my way to the answer. But that day in the shower, after 3 weeks of this hybrid practice of Neville and Joe's work, I wasn't thinking about my business at all. I was just present. And then suddenly, this complete idea downloaded into my mind. Not just the program concept, but the exact messaging, the price point, even the specific people I should reach out to first. The whole shebang. That was amazing. I got out of the shower, created the offer the same day, sent it out to my email list. No fancy launch, no big build up, just a simple email. So simple. And within 48 hours, I had 18 people sign up at $997 each. By the end of the week, it was 30 people. Now the offer wasn't revolutionary. It was just, how can I say it? It was just aligned. It was created from a different frequency. So there you have it. The exact approach, the hybrid approach that I used to manifest 30K in 30 days by combining Neville's identity work with Joe's neurological approach. And now, it's your turn. I want you to commit to trying this approach for 21 days. Not half-heartedly, not skeptically, just go all in on yourself with full conviction. Because here's the truth. This isn't about techniques or strategies, but it's about who you're being at your core. It's all about your frequency. And remember, you can only have what you already have. Not in the physical sense, but in the frequency sense. You can only experience what you are aligned with. So the question isn't, how do I manifest this? The question is, who do I need to be to align with this? Because when you answer that question and embody that answer, watch as reality reshapes itself around your new frequency. And so if you found this helpful and want to go deeper, I work with 5 individuals every single month to help them identify their frequency blocks and create from their desired reality. If you would like more information, link is in the description. Now your manifestations aren't being delayed by the universe. They're being delayed by your relationship with time itself. So change that relationship and you change everything.